Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
That's where it was.
Okay, at this time, I'd like for the presentation and the approval of the minutes from the July 16th meeting. Have any recommendations?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The state accommodation tax quarterly refund report, Ms. Cindy? Did you get?
I don't have it printed, but I saw it.
I got two.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning.
The balance as of July 1st, 2024 was $244,943. We've only had one cash receipt. Jasper Chamber of Commerce refunded $1,235. Cash paid out so far were Jasper County Chamber applications that were approved in the previous year, but the money was not dispersed till this year. Those were in the amount of $132,494, including one for the festival on Main. So the balance as of September 30th, 2024 was $100,032. I'm sorry, the amount of money sent out was $132,494. We have one application before you today. It's $25,000. If that is approved by council, the balance left over would be $88,684.
Any questions?
Questions? Okay, so I just have one announcement to make. I'm sorry, I did not put it on the agenda. I have accepted a new position as the city clerk. So going forward in the January meetings, our new revenue specialist, Jordan Tootin, will be sitting in, taking minutes and getting the meetings together for you.
Thank you.
I'll still be around if you need me, but
Yes, congratulations.
You don't have the Jasper County 250.
The items up for discussion at this meeting are the consideration of a request of funds from the Friends of Honey Hill.
Can we do it?
Honey Hill.
Yep, Honey Hill, go ahead.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Rich Thomas, and I am currently serving as the president of the Friends of Honey Hill. With me today are Milton Woods, our vice president, and Kathy DeCourcy, our treasurer. Kathy has presented before you the slideshow that's up there, and so I don't think there's any need for us to go through it again unless you would like it another run through.
We would, because we have people here that weren't here last time.
Okay, very good. Kathy, are you prepared?
We can.
I just wing it the way it's up there. Yeah, so the Honey Hill Battlefield Park is an absolutely special treasure that happens to be in Jasper County. It is not a typical Civil War battlefield. In fact, it's a Civil War battlefield that's unique in a couple of respects. One of them is that you have all of the original road systems, the trench lines, the rifle pits, and the main redoubts or bunkers, if you would use a modern term to describe them, that are there, and they're in almost pristine condition, virtually untouched battlefield, basically. It is currently on a 238-acre parcel of land that is owned by the town of Ridgeland, and it is part of the Honey Hill Boyd's Neck Battlefield Historic District as designated by the National Park Service. We have been a 501c3 organization working on this Honey Hill project since about 2015. It has taken quite a while for us to be able to get the support to get to the point that we're ready to start the real in earnest development to be able to open it into a tourism destination. And we're here this morning asking you for money to install the electrical service and underground electric to the pump at the battlefield site. It was also an unusual battle in the fact that we had a majority of African-American regiments in the campaign that went to Honey Hill, and in the battle at Honey Hill, the lead forces for most of the charges on the Confederate earthworks were African-American troops. 4 Medals of Honor were earned during the battle, one of which went to an African-American soldier named Andrew Jackson Smith. And Smith was one of only 3 African-American soldiers outside of a group of 14 that were all in the same unit that were awarded Medals of Honor for a battle up in Petersburg. So he is a distinguished recipient of that medal. That depicts the Boyd's Landing Historic District, which is about 5,000 acres of mostly privately owned land. And the 238 acres I mentioned before is the piece that you see kind of in a green shade outlined in red. This is a better depiction of it right there. The core battlefield area is down at the bottom on the left, and that's about a 75-acre parcel. And then the rest of the property that's owned by Ridgeland is outlined in red going to the north. It's bordered by Bees Creek Road up on the top left where that cuts through. And down at the very bottom in the center is Route 336. 336 actually cuts through the battlefield itself from the Civil War times. This is just a glimpse at some of the work that's taken place at Honey Hill. We've had a number of civic groups that have helped with land clearing and things like that. It was very heavily overgrown at the time we started to prepare the land for clearing. You can see Milton and Tommy Rhodes, who's a council member up in Ridgeland, who were helping, a member of the Young Marines from Paris Island, who helped on one of the clearing days. And then I think the one on the bottom left looks like Milton out hunting on the land, but I'm not sure. I think that was before it was a battlefield park. This is a good depiction of some of the work that we've done in terms of clearing the land so far and getting it ready. And I'll show you pictures of the main earthworks later on that are a little more distinguishable than what you see there. That's running down along one of the walls or the ramparts of the main redoubt, which is the main Confederate defensive works on Honey Hill. And this is some of the fixtures, features that we are proposing. We have an observation platform that has already been largely constructed. We still have to finish it off. But that is just inside the main earthwork, looking down the slope of Honey Hill, which was the main field of battle for the federal troops charging the Confederate defenses. That is an example of the kind of a kiosk we will be having there on the battlefield, which will have 8 panels of interpretive information about the battle. And that is our second order of operations after we get the well and the electrical service in. And that's an example of a pavilion. We're going to have a covered shelter with some picnic tables, an opportunity for people to, rest there and have lunch after they have enjoyed a tour of the battlefield or in the middle of their tour. We'll have restrooms as well. Now, we've recently been accepted as a network site for the National Reconstruction Era Historical Park in Beaufort County. And Beaufort County has 5 locations in Beaufort that are the park per se, but then it has about 80 network sites around the country. We're one of 6 battlefields that's part of that network. And the other ones, the names of those battlefields might be familiar to you. Names like Gettysburg, Chickamauga, Shiloh, Fort Sumter. So it's a pretty distinguished honor for the Honey Hill Battlefield site. And this site is a heritage asset and a tourism attraction for people who are coming to this area. In fact, we believe that it's going to be a fairly powerful one in the entire Savannah-Charleston corridor. Because most of the other battlefields in South Carolina that people would visit coming to this part of the state are in the Charleston area. This is really the only battlefield down in this part of the world, except for Fort Pulaski in Savannah.
We're ready to show the video.
Yeah, we're ready to show you a video. This will help you be familiar with the battlefield, what we're going to be trying to do, and how it will be interpreted. So a quick disclaimer on the voiceover on that. I've never done a voiceover before, so it's a little hokey. Forgive me for that. We're here to request the $25,000 for the installation of the electrical service. And if you have any questions, either I or Kathy or Milton will be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions?
I'll start.
Sure.
You said it's been you said it's been a pretty much an untouched battlefield for a long time.
Yes.
Curious in your renovation or as you've been working the land, if you've found any artifacts or if there have been any found, if you plan to present those in a certain way.
Great question. That land has probably been harvested for artifacts for about the last 50 years informally. But the property is under an easement, a historical conservation easement with the South Carolina Battleground Trust, and we work with the Battleground Trust as kind of their local agent for the preparation of that field. We've had a number of surveys done on the battlefield site, and hundreds of artifacts have been recovered from those surveys. One of them is a very rare cannonball from a piece that was virtually out of use by the time the battle occurred in 1864. Belt buckles, buttons, the typical normal stuff you would imagine you would find. There probably would have been a lot more, although, after the Union retreated from the battle, which was a Confederate victory, one of the company commanders on the Confederate side was able to send his men out into the field and gather enough rifles, new Enfield rifles, to equip the whole company. So a lot of the stuff that would have been left after the battle, had that not occurred, is not there. But we will, not the first phase of work, but probably the second phase of work, we plan to have a visitor center. And that visitor center would be the location where some of those artifacts would be put on display. Yeah. Thank you.
I just want to add to that. We have a great display of the Honey Hill battlefield at Morris Center, the Morris Center Low Country Heritage. I'm a docent up there as well. We have many of the artifacts that were found out there by private citizens on display there. So you should stop in and see. There's a great assortment of stuff up there.
And Kathy brings up a very good point. I mean, the tours that would be conducted for the battlefield at Honey Hill would incorporate the Morris Center display. And they have a, what do you call that thing? A model, a diorama of the battle, basically, in the Morris Center with a lot of good interpretive signage. So that would be part of the tours.
Any other questions?
Yes. Have you received any funds from other municipalities?
We have received funds from Jasper County. The town of Ridgeland finally kicked in for the well and the water service that we're going to need for that property. Kathy, we've received quite a bit, but Kathy is the one that really kind of runs that part of the operation.
Yes, we did apply for the ATAX from Jasper County. I believe we received $53,000 from them. Ridgeland did pay $14,000 for the well, finally. I have applied for 3 other grants. One is through Palmetto Electric, Dominion Energy. We're getting ready to apply to the South Carolina Parks, Recs, and Tourism for our trail system. So all that's Palmetto Electric and Dominion have been applied for. We won't know until the end of the year if we receive those. And the Parks and Recs is not due until November. So I'm working on that one.
And I know it's kind of early in the stage, but when do you expect the first visitor? A year from now, 2 years?
If things go our way and if there isn't too much interference from the weather and the natural environment, we hope to be ready in about a year and a half from the point of construction to being able to open the park for unescorted public visitation. But we will, starting this coming year, we'll be doing regularly scheduled guided tours of the battlefield site. The tourism aspect on this is really pretty powerful, and we have a number of different benchmarks that relate to battlefield tourism. Probably the most pertinent one in our minds is one that was done by the South Carolina Battleground Trust in 2022, I think, that focused on the battlefield. It's a Revolutionary War battlefield at 96 upstate. Now, the battle site in 96 is about 50 miles from Interstate 26 and about 30 miles from Interstate 85. And in the year of the survey up there, they had 92,000 visitors. And those 92,000 visitors paid an average of about, I don't remember what it was, but it brought in significant revenue for a fairly rural part of the state. Given the fact that we're right in this junction between 462, which is a main artery of travel that comes out of Coosawhatchee off of I-95 and heads down to Bluffton and Hilton Head, that's a very heavily traveled route. The other thing is the I-95 exit is less than 3 miles from the battlefield entrance. So it's reasonable to believe that we would probably be able to draw just incidental tourists, maybe not planning a battlefield park visit, but just stopping by. In addition to the ones who would be planning a battlefield park visit, we feel it's reasonable that we'll get about 120,000 visitors our first year. So that'll produce quite a bit of good revenue for the county and for the town of Ridgeland, and will be a major attraction for people who are coming to this area. I mean, I can see overnight guests at some of the lodging facilities here in Hardyville, making a side trip to the Honey Hill battlefield, not that far away.
Now, the revenue you just projected for Ridgeland and Jasper County, will any of it come back to Hardyville?
Well, I imagine the revenue for the county will come back. And if there are, I think it all comes back, doesn't it? And then is distributed by the individual municipalities, but, well, no. So probably not, I don't know, specifically to Hardyville, I'm not sure.
That's my main concern, is that you're asking for Hardyville money to be spent when it's going to benefit Ridgeland instead of benefiting Hardyville.
Well, Kathy, you want to?
Yeah. let me
Address
just look at
that.
it. Thanks. As you know, Hardyville has the better hotels. Farther down, you have Bluffton and Hilton Head. Ridgeland does not have a hotel that we would ask any visitor to stay in. Point South has some. They're limited, but down here, the hotels are expanding more and more. I believe that this would be the place that people would stay. Just my opinion.
Also, we believe that, first, I want to say thanks to each one of you individually for the privilege and opportunity to appear the second time before this committee. And we have responded. You tabled us the first time, and you've asked us to come back now, and we did bring the numbers back to you. But to address your question, when you think of Hardyville city limits in relationship to the entrance to the battlefield is only about 6 or 7 miles. So you're not a distance from us. Now, your core city may be, but our vision, one day, in conjunction with the 250 and Revolutionary period, and beginning at Perrysburg, that your city council has shown great interest in. There could be, because of the Charleston to Savannah Stagecoach Road and its relationship to Perrysburg, begin a driving tour from that area, which I believe, Kath, is in the city limits of Hardyville, and come up the Charleston to Savannah Stagecoach Trail to the Episcopal Church that was in existence then, and that's only 2 miles from the battlefield. And from Honey Hill Battlefield to Thomas Haywood Jr.'s home, his parrot, Daniel Haywood, the family cemetery, also Pierce Butler's property and plantation, and we will soon be doing a research for that. He was the first senator from South Carolina, spoke 70 times on the floor of the Continental Congress when our Constitution was being developed that we live under today. So and the history continues right on up to Coosawhatchee, Fort Coosawhatchee, the skirmishes at Tuna Finney, all the battle works that's in that area. And as Chris has so well explained that he's played on some of the battle works at his family's property, that down a section of Bees Creek in 462. And on the Sheldon, and you could make the Ewing come back through Buford. So it lends itself to all of our communities. Hardeeville, Ridgeland, Greenville, Coosawhatchee, Bluffton, the entire area. So when you contribute to this, you're not just contributing to Ridgeland per se, you're contributing to the history of the Low Country. So feel free when you make your decisions and where your contributions would be going. Not to just this battlefield that you saw that great video just a moment ago, but can you visualize that what you saw, that wilderness, will be turned into a beautiful landscape organized with interpretive points throughout the battlefield. And it has so much history. And if Rich had about 2 hours, he could tell you a little more. And our interpretive points along the path, and I guess the path's what, 3 miles?
3 miles.
3 miles, maybe a little more to the northern part of the property. We have 2 major highways that front the property. In Bees Creek Road on the north side, on the south side, Highway 336, Honey Hill Development, which is a large development in acreage, but not in number of dwellings. And then on the east side is a 2,000 conservation easement adjacent to the property. So it just has so much history, and it's been dormant for all these years. And someone asked about the artifacts. I can tell you, I personally know a number of people that has drawers of artifacts that came off of that battlefield. We have a gentleman in the community, you may know, at one time I think he lived in Hardeeville, by the name of Tim Singletary. And he lives at Tillman. For 60 years, he's been digging and looking for Civil War artifacts. Has 2 large buildings, I say large, about 10 by 14, I guess, buildings out in his yard. It is full of historic artifacts. They clean, they documented, and they are displayed with a label. If you get a chance, he would love to have you go visit with him. And he has shown some interest in maybe one day that could become a part of a relics room or a little museum out on the property. So we have a lot of interest. And with us being designated as a reconstruction area battle site, that has just exposed us to places far beyond the boundaries of Jasper County and South Carolina. So whatever you can do, your city council, most of the people that I've talked to on city council, not all of them, but I know your mayor pro temp, and several others are very interested in this product. So your mercy, and y'all, the last time we visited with you, you had some very good comments, and we respect that, and we just appreciate the opportunity to appear before you today again. Thank you.
I know a couple of you guys weren't here last week. I kind of threw out there, my main concern was that Jasper County and Ridgeland had not ponied up at all at that time, and that's part of why we tabled it. It sounds like they have now, which is great. just for further discussion, and this might just be my ignorance, you guys may know better than I do, and Cindy, I'm kind of coming to you for this. ATAX money, if we don't use it, we lose it, correct?
Correct.
And I know we're at first quarter, as far as fiscal year goes, but do we have any other, like, yearly commitments, or not commitments, but requests that we expect? Where are we budget-wise for where we've been in the past? I know you can't give me specifics, but just in general.
As you know, Jasper County Chamber of Commerce comes every year. We do have certain applications that come in every year. Other than that,
The majority of that we've already paid out.
correct.
Right.
So they'll come in again, but it won't be given out until the following year.
Right.
We have a few other applicants that come.
I know we get the pickleball.
We get the pickleball in January. Peach comes for the tourism books. And then we have the Festival of Maine always.
Right, which, and Festival of Maine, on Maine is what was the big one that just paid out, which will be coming next year.
Other than that, we don't have any routine applications coming in.
So, not to rehash everything I said last week, but my, my biggest thing was, you know, I do agree, and we all know, this is gonna serve the 462 corridor a lot more than it does Hardeeville proper, so to speak. But I do know that with, you know, national parks and stuff, I mean, how many of us have driven to Fort Pulaski, or, you know, driven somewhere else to go to a park like this? So they're just not, there's not that many of them. And I do know the property well. I've seen it myself. I support the project. My main concern was, why is Hardeeville footing the bill when the others haven't kicked in? Now they have. So that's just kind of rehashing my concerns from last quarter. Most of you guys heard it. At this point, because they have ponied up, and I agree with you, you know, Hardeeville's got the better accommodations, there's no doubt. You know, and it's something that's not gonna come up, I mean, you can't recreate a state park like this. It's there. I think it's a step in the right direction, and that's my thoughts.
Well, I've got several people up here that pay a tax. The only thing, if we do approve this, and the only reason I will approve it is because if it's either you use it or you don't, and we lose it. That's the only way I'll approve of it. Other than that, I don't see any benefit for Hardeeville when it comes to the aspect of it. It'd be great to see other projects come through that we could invest in, but if it comes down to it that we have to do this, because other than that, we lose the money, I don't mind
Well,
approving of it.
we don't have to do it, but when I said it's a step in the right direction, I think, like, you know, they were saying, I mean, this could be one project that they're working on that hopefully, you know, moves closer to Pureysburg and whatnot.
Well-
Whether it does or not, I mean, that's speaking way in the future.
Right.
But, and another thing to keep in mind is, our recommendation has to go to council for approval anyway. I mean, council's the end-all, be-all. I'm just letting you know personal experience from, you know, and I'm a Jasper County boy, not just a Hardeeville boy. I try to put on my Hardeeville hat when I'm here, and I know that. And that's why I think I was the main one that held their feet to the fire last quarter, saying, I don't think we should buy into this until the rest of Jasper County does. And I think they have. And so I think they've held up their end of the bargain. It's money that, you know, again, we don't use it, we lose it. I think we're on track to fund everything else that we've funded in the past. So that's kind of, I think you can tell where I land on the issue, but,
And just so everybody knows, you have 2 years to use the money.
right. And I would love to see more stuff come through, but we don't know that it will.
If we have 2 years to do it, then I'm against it completely. Because I want to focus on some other things, like especially redoing downtown Hardeeville and helping the businesses out on that.
How long
mean,
how long has that been on the books and not been done?
Well, we're making changes, so the changes are going to be there. So I disapprove.
I have one more question, if you don't mind. After this gets done, who is going to be responsible, and how is the money going to come up to continue to pay the electric bill?
We have to come up with that funding. Yeah, so
That's not
we're gonna.
included in any of this money that you've gotten so far?
No, that's just installation. We still have to pull it to, you know, the buildings and stuff. That's why I'm feverishly writing grants. That's why I'm always out there looking. But I want to add something to this because I wear many hats. I'm also on the Jasper County 250 Committee, and we are working on the Revolutionary War sites. So we are working on Perrysburg. We have 4 interpretive signs and a historical marker that's going down there. This all ties in. This is really important to this county that we start promoting the Revolutionary War sites, the Civil War sites, and other historic assets that we have. We have many in this county that are not being used to attract tourism. Now, many of us don't want to become Hilton Head with all the tourists and everything, but we have assets here that we need to promote to bring those tourists here. So this is kind of like a whole combo thing. This is why I sit on all these different boards, is to bring it all together so that we do have a tourism package that will benefit Hardeeville. It'll benefit the whole county.
The other thing I feel like we need to also look at is if even if you did move forward with this, you're opening up a completely different chapter of more Jasper County people coming in and asking for ATAX help on our side. It's opening up a whole new can of worms.
And I understand that, but you take it on a case-by-case basis. I mean, those can always be voted for at that time. I mean, just the amount of time I've spent on this committee, very few new things come to us. And that's what I'm basing my opinion on, is how many new projects have I seen come before us that aren't just the normal everything we expect. Jasper County Chamber, pickleball in Sun City. You know, many people argue that Sun City's not Hardeeville proper, right? But those are the things that we've funded in the past, and we've not seen anything new. We got money to use. It's just a recommendation. You listen, that's why we have these discussions. I can approve it and you can say nay. And, you know, I think we at least bring it to a vote. We don't table it again. I don't want to table it again. Let's at least bring it to but that's just my opinion. I'd like to bring it to a vote. Vote how you will, and then again, it's our recommendation to council. So. Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, I understand we do have the money to use. If we don't use it, we lose. We get to keep it for another year at least, right? And I agree, we don't really get a whole lot of projects coming through. So anybody listening, I would encourage you to come through with your projects so we have more to consider. One of my main concerns with it is if we're going to be putting money into this project, is what is it being presented as? It's being built as a historical site, which is a very important part of American history. But my concern is it being built as a historical site, or is it being built as a glorification to the Confederacy? And if we put money behind something that's a glorification to the Confederacy, then I would vote against that. But if it's presented in a neutral or historical way, then I'm more likely to get behind the idea of it.
I think that's a very valid, legitimate concern. I would say that right from the get-go, one of the things we've been very painstaking to do is make sure that the story we're telling is a story that appeals to multiple audiences, not to glorify the Confederacy. It is a story that will appeal to Civil War enthusiasts, to people who are in favor of the Union Army, to people who are in favor of the Confederate Army. Also, it has a very strong African-American story to be told to that audience, and it's extremely important. I would like to go back just quickly to your question about the operating costs going forward. And obviously, that is something that we will need to fund. But as we get closer to the point where we're actually beginning to go operational, where we'll have those regular recurring expenses, that'll be a major focus for sponsorship and fundraising from a number of different organizations, some of which have already come through with in-kind contributions to the preparation of the site. I don't know if I addressed your question satisfactorily or not.
No, definitely satisfactorily. I just want to make it sure that this is portrayed as a historical site, not to, like I said, glorify the Confederacy who tried to preserve and defend slavery, right? So that was my main concern. As far as the money goes, we asked them to go receive funding from other places last time they were in. They've gone and done that work. Are they still asking us for some? Yes, but significantly less. I think last time it was somewhere around 66 or 70,000 you were asking for, something like that.
39, 14 and 25.
39,000
Okay,
total.
so
yeah.
pardon me. Okay, pardon me, but you have received funding from elsewhere, which definitely helps. So as long as this is presented in a correct way, I think I'd be okay recommending it to the next level. What would you have to say about that?
Well, I mean, I think as again, as this project moves forward, it is attracting a lot of attention. It took us a number of years just to overcome inertia and get some momentum, and now momentum is starting to build very quickly. Kathy's actually going to be attending a conference in a little while, put on by the American Battlefield Trust, which will then enable us to be an applicant to the American Battlefield Trust for funding for the site. The ABT has 3 categories of battlefields in the United States, and they call them A, B, and C classes or categories. And A is the most valuable for preservation and protection and interpretation from their perspective. And Honey Hill is in that category. So I think, and your investment now is going to be an investment that is going to be compounded many times over by other organizations in the future. And when I hesitated about the ATAX contribution to Hardeeville, Kathy brought up the hospitality side of things, and I know there is a hospitality tax as well, and that hospitality tax would be accruing to Hardeeville in the proportion, I guess, that people were lodged here in town. So, I do think there'll be a benefit financially from merchants, restaurants, and hotels. So, anything else? No.
I hope you understand the foundation of this group of Friends of Honey Hill. You've heard Rich, you've heard Kathy. These are just not people that come out of the earthworks. These people are knowledgeable, they are committed, they are here for not only today but for tomorrow. And our board is a phenomenal board. And our advisory board is even more phenomenal. We have people from the National Park Service that's affiliated with this group that live in the area, that's on the board or the advisory board. One was director of all parks and monuments in Washington, D.C. That's a pretty big position. Another was director of tourism, Gettysburg Battlefield. Doesn't get much bigger than that. And with the connection that they have up the chain to help support this project in perpetuity is just unbelievable. Dr. Wise, director of the museum and author of several books at Parris Island, is on our advisory board. Dr. Larry Rowland, a retired history professor from the University of South Carolina, is on our advisory board. So we have the nucleus. And I think your question was, sir, that, after you give this money and after we run out, what will be the next? Is this thing just going to dwindle away? No. It's built with a very solid foundation. And your money will complement Hardeeville in tourism, motels. And you know what? I refer to these projects as being clean money And what I mean by that, people come in to visit the project. We give them a pillar and a motel to sleep on. We invite them into our restaurants. And the next day or two, they are leaving our community, and we invite them to come back. We have no demand upon our services, our law enforcement, to provide and support that tourist that comes by and spends their dollars with us. That's clean money. And so when you're investing in this project, it's not just for Ridgeland, it's for the entire community. And as when I made my comments earlier, all of the history, Hardyville, Ridgeland, Pocatello, Coosawhatchee, Bluffton, Buford, we complement one another. We can't separate ourselves because it's all overlapping. And the Revolutionary War and period is so important to this project. They complement each other. Folks, this is going to be a key tourist attraction. We are only the beginning of great things to happen. And with your question, sir, I thought those were some very good questions. And this will not be just a Confederate Civil War issue. It will be the history of the Low Country. Thank you.
I'll piggyback on that real quick, just as I'll tell my age here. I'm 39 years old. I was born and raised in Hardyville. Hardyville's not a destination because of where Hardyville is. Hardyville's a destination because of what's around us. So just to take everything he said and throw it into much simpler terms, people don't come to Hardyville because we've got an amusement park or an attraction or something. They're coming to Hardyville because of what's around.
Yeah, but we
Just
can,
keep that in mind as well.
yeah, but we can change that though. The beautiful part about this town is it's a clean slate, and that's why we want to build it on the right path. And there's more things coming. And like I said, again, I think when it comes to this money right here, we can give them a little bit, but we need to focus on that downtown area and revisit it like we did 4 or 5 years ago, and focus on reconstructing our downtown area the way it needs to. So we have more things coming in, so we can actually say Hardyville is the destination.
I agree.
Not a pass-through.
No, I agree 100%. And if some of that was out there and on the slate, I would say no to this and focus elsewhere.
Yeah, but we got 2 years to work on it. I'm currently talking to a lot of council members, but like I said, I'll approve 5K because Ridgeland approved 14, and they're in Ridgeland. So instead
You
of
talk percentage-wise, though, Hardyville
Yeah.
has a much bigger bank to pull from. So I understand what you're saying, but also Jasper County put in 50.
53.
So I understand what you're saying.
and they have a bigger pool. Jasper County has a real bigger pool because think of how big Jasper County is versus Ridgeland and Hardyville. So I'll approve 5K.
So what do we need? A motion to
A motion.
approve
I need a motion.
as is, and then we can have discussion after that. All right. I make a motion to approve the grant of $25,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Okay, we're open for discussion.
Only 3, correct?
My holdout is, I think we should offer less, looking at what we have available and what we're hoping to do in the next couple of years.
Okay, can I have a recommendation then for a lesser amount?
5,000. A motion on that.
Have a second on that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's 3.
All right, guys, where we at?
We're tied. My thinking is if Ridgeland did 14, could we compromise and come in at 15? Which would be less money than what they're asking for, but would it be enough to get them closer to where they need to be? You can answer that question if you want to.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all your consideration. We'll withdraw our application.
She said we'll withdraw the application. I mean, it's not supported.
I think there was more discussion to be had, but I don't know that we can override your withdrawal, so.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so I made a mistake in sending out the application packet. There are actually 2 applications. It was in the packet, but it was only represented as one. So Kathleen is here again for another application for the Jasper County 250. And I wanted to see if y'all would entertain her coming before the board to do that. Again, it's my fault. I put it in as one, but it's in the back of the packet. Yeah, okay. Kathleen. Did you have a presentation for that, Kathleen? Or-
I just have the samples.
Okay. And again, I apologize. That was clearly my fault.
We did my, did you take my paperwork?
No, ma'am.
No?
You want me to pass them in?
No,
I'll
that's all right.
pass it out.
I'll just hand them to them. Oh, you have my application? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm with the Jasper County 250. We are in charge of interpreting and updating our Revolutionary War sites for the 250th anniversary in July 4th of 2026. We are working on 4 interpretive panels. You are looking at the proofs there. They will be displayed at Millstone Landing. Also, we have a historical marker.
That one around too.
So we had received a grant and some ATAX money for these panels to be installed at Purrysburg. Unfortunately, we did not realize that we were going to have to follow the Hardyville sign ordinance and pay for the installation, so we did not have enough funds. There is a quote for the installation in your packet. I'm just looking for it now. I believe it was $3,873.30. That's for installation. We still have to pay the permit fee. We did not budget for that money, so we are back here asking for ATAX money to pay for the installation of those signs down at the Millstone Landing. There's 4 interpretive signs. You guys have the proofs there and the historical marker sign. And that, I have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. The signs are 36 inches by 24 inches high.
We've not provided any money to date for this, correct?
You provided some money to the Jasper County 250. It was for a portion of it for some signage and stuff, yes.
Okay, maybe I was out.
Yeah.
How much do you remember?
I think $10,000.
It wasn't a lot, yeah.
Yeah, $10,000 we asked for.
Questions?
That 10,000 that was allotted, was it all for just signs or?
It was a mixture of signs, promotional material. It was actually a match to a SC 250 grant.
Yeah, there was like some folders, trifolds and that kind of stuff that was in there
Yeah.
as well.
I approve of it.
Do I have a recommendation?
You want to recommend?
I recommend allotting them $3,873.30 for the signage to be put up at Millstone. I think it's a great idea.
We have a second.
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's yours, I think.
That's mine. I printed it out. Oh, thank you very much for your presentation today. I really do appreciate the time and effort that went into it. At this time, we'll take a consideration for our 2025 Accommodation Tax Committee quarterly meeting schedule. We have the dates, January 14th, April 8th, July the 8th, and October 14th. Can I get a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That concludes our meeting for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.